Won't it be Ryan the Great? And today we are talking NBA draft, guys. And I have not talked about the NBA draft any time on this channel, but we're finally doing today. My full mock draft is ready to roll. I just made this yesterday before the Kristaps Porzingis trade. Actually, a reaction to that will come out tomorrow. Got to get this draft, this mock draft out today. And we will have the Kristaps Porzingis reaction coming tomorrow for you guys. But I had to change it all up because the Celtics are now getting the 25th pick. I had to change around some picks. So yeah, we're going to get right into it. But before we get right into it, guys, make sure you guys subscribe with your post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother Lee and the Great Vlogs. Make sure you guys go subscribe to my second channel at Ryan the Cod Great. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok at Ryan the Great RTG. And make sure you guys go follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the video. And roll the intro. Won't it be Ryan the Great? And today, oh hell yeah! Well, it's not that hard to understand if you know anything about football. Touchdown! A touchdown! Philly! And the Phillies walk it off! Okay, let's get right into the video. So, starting off at the number 1 overall pick, drum roll please. It's obviously Victor Wembanyama. It was always going to be Victor Wembanyama, the center out of Metropolitans 92 in France. 7'3", can handle the ball, can shoot, can get to the basket, can shot block from anywhere on the court. We know what this guy can do. Now, listen, we can only go really based on his highlights. We really don't see him in America because we don't have access to the French games. I mean, sometimes we do, but we really don't. We only go based off the highlights that we do see off of the internet. And really, you can't really talk about any holes of his game. Is he NBA ready? I'm not sure. There are people talking about how, there are parts of his game that are not fully developed. I saw that he was shooting 28% from the three-point line, and he's supposed to be a shooter. And there are probably some holes in his game. Do I think that Coach Greg Popovich could work that out? Yes, I do. But do I think it'll be immediate? No. He might be a little rusty coming into the NBA. But he still is going to be the number 1 overall pick. It's always going to be Victor Wembanyama. And at number 2, drum roll please, Brandon Miller, the small forward out of Alabama. The Hornets, I believe, will take him. All signs are pointing to them taking Brandon Miller. They do want to pair him up with LaMelo Ball. I can see it. I am a pretty big Brandon Miller fan. While he does have his off-the-court issues, I am a good fan of him. He makes shots. He is pretty good defensively. I'm not going to say he's the greatest defensive player in the world, but offensively, obviously, we know what he can do. First team All-American, and as a freshman, averaging 20 points per game, I do think that he could be NBA ready. Once again, it could take him just a little bit of time adjusting to the NBA just because he is coming out as a freshman, being the number 2 overall pick, having those expectations. But I do believe that he will rise to the occasion at some point in time. And I think he'll be the number 2 overall pick. And at number 3, drum roll please, the Portland Trail Blazers will select Scoot Henderson, the point guard out of the G League Ignite. Scoot Henderson, I was watching some of his highlights. Oh, man, this guy can go airborne. This guy can jump. He can finish at the basket. He plays great pickpocket defense, gets steals. Haven't seen too many of his shooting highlights, but I do believe as a point guard, he should be able to shoot the ball pretty well. But he is great at finishing at the basket. There is a lot of upside for Scoot Henderson. All signs do point to the Portland Trail Blazers not trading this pick and going with Scoot Henderson out of the G League Ignite. I really do like Scoot Henderson, and I think that he will be a pretty good player in this league. And number 4, the Houston Rockets will select Amen Thompson, the point guard and shooting guard out of the Overtime Elite. Now, I'm not going to lie. I have not seen too much of Amen Thompson, but all signs do point to him being picked at number 4 by the Houston Rockets. The Rockets, they do need some point guard depth right now. I do believe they need a little bit more big man depth just because, their big men, if Sengun can develop, then it'll be all right, but they still do need some depth there, but we can get into that just a little bit later. But I think he can adjust to the speed of the NBA pretty quickly. It is going to be hard with him without his brother there. They're very used to playing together, so I think that's a big adjustment for him. But I do think that he will be able to adjust pretty quickly based on what we have seen from him in the Overtime Elite, and I think that he can, get into it pretty quickly. Could take a little bit, though. The Rockets, though, I mean, this team could make the playoffs. I'm just saying, if Ahmed Thompson can develop quickly, they can make the playoffs. Jalen Green, Thompson, if Jabari Smith Jr. can have a way better of a rookie year, Ime Udoka's still there. If Sengun can develop, there's talks about them getting James Harden back. While I don't think that is going to happen, I do think he will re-sign with the Sixers. It is very possible that he still can go there, and I think that then they could definitely make the playoffs in that stage. But anyway, let's move on. At number 5, I do believe the Detroit Pistons will select, drum roll please, Cam Whitmore, the point guard, or I guess you could say guard, out of, small forward actually, he can't play guard, but out of Villanova. There are people talking about how he didn't have a great workout with the Detroit Pistons. And people are really just going based off of the fact that he was coming off the bench after his injury, or thumb injury, that had him miss the first 7 games, I do believe, of the regular season. And he really didn't have that much time to develop on this Villanova team. There are some concerns. I do think he has to be a little bit better of a shooter. I think he also has to demand the ball a little bit more. When I was going to these Villanova games, and I'm seeing that he doesn't demand the ball as much as he should, but he can finish at the basket. He's great. He's great off the dribble. Has a great first step. A great cutter to the basket as well. Something that we do need in this league if you want to win. So I do think Cam Whitmore will be taken at number 5. I think that he can develop into the NBA pretty quickly. And at number 6, I do have the Orlando Magic taking, drum roll please, Ausar Thompson of the Overtime Elite, the point guard and shooting guard. Now listen, people are saying that Thompson is probably going to go number 5 to the Pistons. I don't see it though, but the Magic, I think that this could be pretty good for them. Adding that point guard depth that they definitely could use right now, just in case Markelle Fultz does not work out for their team. He does have that contract that he's looking for. And now if you can get Ausar Thompson in there, get him to develop. Once again, it is going to take a little bit before he develops, because once again, he's used to playing with his brother. That could be a little bit of a problem. It might take him a little bit to match the speed of the NBA. Do I think he's very capable of doing that? Yes, I do. And I think he will be taken number 6 by the Orlando Magic. And at number 7, the Indiana Pacers, drum roll please, Jarris Walker, the power forward out of Houston. Listen, this Indiana Pacers team is great with shot blocking, interior defense. Why not add more to that with Jarris Walker? Now, he is a possibility to go to the Pistons, in my opinion, that he could be another selection there. But I do think that he will fall to the Indiana Pacers. Once again, they do need another shot blocker with Miles Turner. Sometimes it was a little bit rusty and lackluster, but I do think Jarris Walker can help with that, that's really pretty much it. I mean, they don't really need much of a guard because they do have Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, and they could trade for a few power forwards. There are some on the market right now. You do have Tobias Harris, DeAndre Hunter. Apparently the Nets are looking to get rid of Dorian Finney-Smith, even though that I heard a team offered 2 first-round picks for him, and they didn't accept it. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Jarris Walker at number 7. And at number 8, the Washington Wizards. Drum roll, please. Anthony Black, the point guard and shooting guard out of Arkansas. Listen, the Wizards, their point guard depth is through the roof. It is not even through the roof. It is below the basement. It is so bad right now after trading Bradley Beal away. This is a tanking team. Do I think Anthony Black will completely turn this thing around? No. Do I think that I don't really think Anthony Black can be a franchise player. I think he can be a really good point guard in the NBA. I'm just not too confident in him being a franchise player. People are saying that he could go top 5 potentially. I'm really not I really can't see that. They're saying that another guy that the Pistons could take, in my opinion. I just don't see it. I'm not the biggest Anthony Black fan in the world. But yeah, now that the fact that the Wizards traded Bradley Beal away, they could use a combo guard. I think Anthony Black could do that. Good at finishing at the basket. Can do pretty much anything a point guard needs to do. I don't really want to compare him to Chris Paul, because Chris Paul can do everything, but Anthony Black can kind of do everything himself, right? I mean, what were his stats last year? I don't even know. Okay, never mind. We'll figure that out later. But moving on to number 9, we have a projected trade. I have the Mavericks moving up one spot with the Utah Jazz, and I'll tell you why in a second. Drum roll, please. Their pick, the Dallas Mavericks now. Derek Lively II, the center out of Duke. Now listen, the Mavericks need him. I'm telling you guys right now. There's offensive potential, we understand that, but his defense is undeniable. He is a great shot blocker, an interior defender, can protect the glass. That's what the Dallas Mavericks need right now. They cannot defend the glass to save their lives. They need this pick to help with that, because if their perimeter defense is not going to be too good, then you got to be able to defend the interior. And I think that their interior defense was worse than their perimeter defense, and that's really, really bad. So Derek Lively, they need him. They need to make sure they can secure him, because I do believe that the Utah Jazz would have picked him if the I do believe that the Utah Jazz will pick him if the Dallas Mavericks do not move up one spot. I don't know what they'll really give up. I mean, they'll obviously give up their number 10 pick. They could give up a player or another pick. I'm not too sure, but we will see. Moving on to the number 10. Now the Utah Jazz has the number pick because of the projected trade with the Dallas Mavericks. I have them taking, drum roll please, Taylor Hendricks, the power forward out of UCF. The Utah Jazz, listen, this guy can play behind Lauri Markkanen, who got an amazing buzz cut. My boy. It's my dog right there, even though I think it's on military camp. I'm not too sure. But anyway, they could use a forward that is pretty good defensively. Lauri Markkanen, you really don't think of him as the defender. He more is of a scorer, and he kind of has to focus more on that than defense. He's not more of a two-way player. But Taylor Hendricks can take some of the pressure off of his shoulders. Very good inside. He's kind of like Jarris Walker. Now, if Jarris Walker can fall to the number 9 spot, I think that they will take him if the Pacers do end up taking Taylor Hendricks. So yeah, just something to note there. But yeah, they need help interior, and Lauri Markkanen just needs to focus a little bit more on scoring instead of, trying to really... I'm not saying don't give effort on defense, but I'm saying he has to put a lot more effort into offense if the Utah Jazz want to be a contender in a few years again. Moving on to the number 11 spot, the Orlando Magic will pick again, and I have them taking, drum roll please, Bilal, I can't say his name, I just can't. I said Bilal Coulibaly? I can't say his name. This shooting guard and small forward out of Metropolitans 92, the French team. Same team as Victor Wembanyama. I'm sorry, but I just can't say that name. Now, I do think that he will be picked in the lottery. There are some teams saying that he could fall out of the lottery. I can't see it. Now, Orlando, they just got their, They just got their guard in Oscar Thompson. Now it would be nice to get another guard, potentially another guard and small forward. You could develop him into a more of a small forward, but I think that this is a good pick here. Orlando trying to fill out their depth in just about every position. And, if Jonathan Isaac can come back from injury and Wendell Carter can step up, guys like that, they really don't need to pick a power forward or center in this draft. That's why I do have them going with Coulibaly. I'm sorry, I just can't say that name. I looked that up on Google later. So yeah, we'll have him going at number 11. And at number 12 to the Oklahoma City Thunder, I have, drum roll please, Jordan Hawkins, the shooting guard out of UConn. Listen, this Oklahoma City Thunder team, they do not have that great of shooting. We saw it in their play-in game with was it the Pelicans? Yeah, the New Orleans Pelicans. They needed to make their shots to win that game. And was it the Pelicans or am I tripping? Who did they play in their last? Hold on. Who did they lose? I know they beat New Orleans, didn't they? And then they lost. They lost to Minnesota, right? In that game against Minnesota, they were just not good shooting at all. I think Jordan Hawkins can definitely help with that. Let me explain. Shooting guard, shooting. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Average 16 points per game from the reigning defending national champions UConn Huskies. Shot 38% from 3 last year. This is someone that the UConn Huskies could use. Also, can finish at the basket. Not the greatest, it's a 6'5" guard. Hopefully you can kind of develop him into a rebounder because Chet Holmgren, not the biggest guy in the world, if you will. So, if you could try and get as much guys to develop as rebounders as you can, that would be good. I mean, 6'5", I'm sure you can jump. I think you could develop him into a small forward as well. And, you got to get some shooting on this team. I think Jordan Hawkins can definitely help with that. And at number 13, the Toronto Raptors, I have them taking, drum roll please, Kobe Buffkin, the point guard / shooting guard out of Michigan. All signs do point to him being taken by the Toronto Raptors. Listen, they might lose Fred VanVleet in free agency, depending on where he goes. Now, I actually do think that the Raptors could take Hawkins if he does fall to number 13. But someone to pair up a combo guard with Scotty Barnes could work out. It could make his job a lot easier. It wouldn't force him to shoot the ball a lot more often. Could make him drive to the basket just a little bit more. And I think that could definitely work out. So, yeah, at number 13, Kobe Buffkin being taken by the Toronto Raptors. And at number 14, the New Orleans Pelicans. I have them taking, drum roll please, Grady Dick, the shooting guard / small forward out of Kansas. Listen, another guy that can shoot, something that the Pelicans could use. It could take the pressure more off of CJ McCollum. McCollum, there really is no three-point shooting on this team. I do think that Grady Dick can help with that. He was a pretty key piece in the Kansas team winning the national championship and trying to make another run for that national championship. The Pelicans, a team that could use some shooting, could fill some holes right now. We're waiting to see what happens with Zion Williamson and his weird off-court situation that we're not even going to talk about. If you guys want to go talk about it, go right ahead. That's not something I'm gonna get into right now. But, yeah. So at number 14, I have the Pelicans taking Grady Dick. And at number 15, the Atlanta Hawks. Drum roll, please. Kason Wallace, the point guard out of Kentucky. Hold on, I gotta pull up the notes about him. Goodness gracious. Okay, here we go. Now, Kason Wallace, a guard with good versatility, something that the Hawks could use right now because Trae Young, I mean, he is so small. The fact that he is shooting from 40 freaking feet, and it is just ridiculous. DeJounte Murray, I mean, I think he had to step down from last year after winning Most Improved Player. And I do think that there are some holes to fill here for the Atlanta Hawks with point guard depth. Trae Young possibly could be leaving in a few years. We are not sure because there are some disputes with the Atlanta Hawks franchise. We just don't know. So I do think that he will be taken at number 15 by the Atlanta Hawks. And at number 16, the Utah Jazz. Drum roll, please. I can't pronounce the last part of his last name. Jalen Hood Schifino, the point guard / shooting guard out of Indiana. Now let me pull up his notes. Goodness gracious, here it is. Okay, so the Utah Jazz. We did help with their interior defense. Let's help with some point guard stuff. Colin Sexton. He's good. Is he the best point guard in the world? No. Jordan Clarkson, not the sixth man anymore. He is starting. So the Utah Jazz, therefore, their point guard depth, not that great. I do think that Schifino, if that's how you want to say it, can help with that. Definitely adds their talent. Now, I do think that the Utah Jazz, they could trade back here and still be able to get Shafino. I don't really see any team taking him, in the 15 through 20. So if you could trade back with a team like the Miami Heat or the Houston Rockets or the Golden State Warriors, I do think that is incredibly possible here. So the Utah Jazz, the balls are in their favor, in my opinion here. They can kind of do whatever they want. So I do have them. But for right now, I'll have them stick where they are. And I have them taking Shafino at number 16. And at number 17, the Los Angeles Lakers. Surprisingly, they have a draft pick this year. They will take, drum roll please, Kenote George, the shooting guard out of Baylor. Listen, the Lakers, another team that just can't shoot to save their lives. Now listen, he could fall a little later into the draft. I do understand that. Maybe the Lakers can trade back. I'm not so sure. But they do need some shooting. D'Angelo Russell, in those playoffs against the Denver Nuggets, couldn't shoot to save his life. I could shoot better than him in those playoff games. You give me those shots uncontested, I could make them. At least half of them. I'm not even kidding with you. So I do think that some shooting could be added. Once again, when we came into the season, we realized that the Los Angeles Lakers, their weakness was shooting. For every damn reason, they kept shooting the ball. Listen, I'm not complaining. I don't like the Lakers at all, even though they made it to the conference finals. They had a good year. Adding some shooting to this team definitely could help. I think Keontae George, Keontae George, or I don't even know anymore. I might have spelled his name wrong. But drafting him definitely could add to their shooting, and especially if they lose Austin Reeves in free agency, but I highly doubt that. Moving on to number 18, the Miami Heat. I have them taking, drum roll please, Oliver Maxence Prosper, the power forward out of Marquette. Listen, Miami, a team in the NBA Finals that could not defend the paint or rebound to save their lives. They were giving up like 60 points in the paint to the Denver Nuggets. That was an absolute disaster. They couldn't rebound. I mean, every single second you saw Jokic miss, get the rebound, miss, get the rebound, miss, get the rebound, miss, get the rebound. I mean, it was every single play, man. But drafting Prosper could help with that, a physical point guard that I definitely think can help this Miami team in the paint and try and get back to these NBA Finals, man, because I think Miami needs to go a little bit younger. Their point guard depth is just, I don't know. Gabe Vincent, can he be that player? Can he step up to the occasion? Kyle Lowry's getting a little old. I'm not a big fan of their point guard depth. I never was a big fan of Gabe Vincent, but I had to give him his respects in the playoffs because he played all right, but he didn't step up. Not my problem. Kyle Lowry, he's got like a $30 million contract, and he's like a million years old. He's a dinosaur. So a point guard is possible here. If Wallace actually does fall to number 18, Miami, I think will take him, guarantee. But at number 19 now, the Golden State Warriors. I have them taking, drum roll please. Once again, I can't pronounce his last name. Brandon Podziemski, the shooting guard out of Santa Clara. Listen, the Warriors, a team that could never really, goes with shooting because they have Steph Curry, they have Klay Thompson, they have Jordan Poole. I think they changed it up this year. I think they do pick, I'll just say Brandon for now because I'm not going to try and pronounce his name and embarrass myself. I think that they could take him because if you look at the second round against the Los Angeles Lakers, they couldn't shoot to save their lives. I think that Brandon could help with that. If there's somebody like a Jordan Poole, like a Klay Thompson not making their threes, he can come in and, hopefully he can get the hot hand and get the Warriors going. I think that's incredibly possible for the Golden State Warriors. But I do think that they could take a guy like a Jamie Jacquez or a Chris Murray here. Chris Murray actually is incredibly possible. I'm a big fan of Chris Murray. I just don't think he will be taken here. I think the Warriors should get some more shooting on their team. And that just sounds incredibly stupid. But, based on what we saw in the second round of the playoffs last year, I think that they should do it. And at number 20, the Houston Rockets. I have them taking, drum roll please, Jet Howard, the shooting guard / small forward out of Michigan. Listen, at number 4, we had them taking their point guard. They took their power forward last year. Let's get a shooting guard and small forward, a combo right here. I think it's a pretty good strategy. Now you're filling all these holes, getting some young guys on your team. If you sign some veteran leadership that could help elevate these guys, I do think that it would be a good plan for the Houston Rockets. If they do go in the direction that I am talking about, then I could actually see what they're doing. I can't really see. I could see them going big man here. I just don't know who. Noah Clowney is possible. I just don't see him. I just can't see it. Him fitting with that Houston team. You could pick James Najee. I think that's how you say his name. But only like almost 19 years old. I can't really, and I think the Rockets could be a playoff team next year. I just can't really see him being a key player on a team like that, for a team that is not in win now mode, but can win in 2 or 3 years. And I can't see him developing like that to be a key piece on this team. So I'll go with a safe pick right now. I'll go with Jet Howard. And at number 21, to the Brooklyn Nets, I have them taking, drum roll, please, Nick Smith Jr., the point guard / shooting guard out of Arkansas. Listen, they could go with Noah Clowney here. I'm not denying that. They do need some help inside, but we could fix that a little bit later. They have 2 picks, remember? So Nick Smith Jr., I think that, it's pretty clear that they are going to go with him in this draft. You saw when they traded Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, they really just didn't have that ball. They really just didn't have that ball handler anymore. They did have Spencer Dinwiddie, but I find him to be more of a 2 guard. Mikal Bridges, once again, he could be a 2 guard and a small forward. They just don't really have that point guard to take up the ball and create plays. I think Nick Smith Jr. can fix that, and help this team win, because this team, if they can get some interior help, which I do think that they can fix later in this draft, then I definitely think that they can go back to the playoffs. Do I think that they really want to go back to the playoffs? No, not really. I do think that they would want to try and get more of a lottery pick and try and build for the future around Mikal Bridges and Spencer Dinwiddie, and if not, trading Dorian Finney-Smith and Cameron Johnson, another guy who I think is vastly underrated. It could help that Brooklyn team win. But they do have some good pieces around them, as long as they don't get hurt. They could, be a good play. It could be a playoff team. And at number 22, I have a projected trade. So I have the Sacramento Kings trading up to the number 22 overall pick to draft Chris Murray, the power forward out of Iowa. Now, I'm sure they would want to pair him up with his brother Keegan Murray. I am a big Chris Murray fan. He's pretty much developed. He's almost 23 years old. He averaged 20 points per game. He's a fixture interior. Now, I do think the reason that the Sacramento Kings did not defeat the Golden State Warriors last year was because of the fact that their shooting was not as amazing. Their finishing at the basket was just fine. Why not add to that? You add to some of your strengths. The guys that were, one guy in particular, Kevin Huerter, who did not step up to the plate, started every single one of those 7 games. He just needs to step up. You don't need to draft shooting, because the guy who was supposed to be shooting just needs to step up. And now, if you can draft Chris Murray, pair him up with his brother, be a fixture in the interior presence, I think that it would be really, really good for this Sacramento Kings team to trade up and get that pick, which would also mean the Brooklyn Nets would move down to the number 24 overall pick. Now, at the number 23 overall pick, the Portland Trailblazers, I have them taking, drum roll please, Noah Clowney, the power forward out of Alabama. Now, I've already had them taking Scoot Henderson at number 3 overall. They have Anthony Simons. They have Shaedon Sharpe. Now Scoot Henderson, Damian Lillard. That's 4 guards that they have. Now, let's go into the interior. I understand they have Yusuf Nurkic, but he's, not always staying healthy. Nasir Little, somebody good to come off the bench. But Noah Clowney, I definitely think that this is a good pick here to help them with that interior presence. And maybe be a playoff team. This team can make the playoffs. They don't have the worst roster in the world. I don't think Chauncey Billups is the greatest coach in the world. I think he's more of an executive. But that's neither here nor there. Noah Clowney, good pick. They have their guards. Let's go into the interior. Him at number 23. And at number 24, the Brooklyn Nets, after the projected trade with the Sacramento Kings, I had them taking, drum roll please, Jamie Jaquez, the small forward out of UCLA. Now listen. I have seen some UCLA games. I think that Jamie Jacquez can develop pretty quickly. I actually am a pretty big fan. I didn't see UCLA that much this year just because they're on the West Coast. I don't watch. I'm not really watching their games at 10 o'clock. But I think that, during his workouts and, combines and stuff like that, he definitely raised his stock. And we saw, I'll change it over to his sport, Anthony Richardson, when he was doing good in the combine, that raised his stock, and apparently he's impressing his coaches right now. So, adding to this Brooklyn Nets team, adding another small forward to play behind Cameron Johnson, Mikal Bridges, stuff like that, definitely could add to their depth right there after I have them taking a point guard. Now, we do have to worry about their interior just a little bit, but there aren't that many centers and big men in free agency. There are some solid ones that are rim protectors, so I do think that they could go out in free agency and sign some guys on some cheap deals. So, yeah, we'll have that there. And at number 25, after having to move around my picks, the Boston Celtics, I have them taking, drum roll please, Marcus Sasser, the point guard / shooting guard out of Houston. Now listen, Marcus Sasser, I don't think he should even be in the first round. But the, the Celtics need point guard help now. They just traded Marcus Smart, their defensive player of the year candidate. Defensive player of the year 2 years ago. He had a solid season on defense this year. But now they need a point guard. Derek White can't really do it all on his own. Marcus Sasser, somebody that could play behind Derek White, come off the bench. The Celtics, their team is really, really balanced right now. I actually think that they could win the NBA championship next year. I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. Oh, God, no. The words came out of my mouth. I think I'll put water on my tongue. I can't believe those words came out of my mouth. Moving on. Okay. So, yeah, they could use some point guard help here. They've worked on their interior stuff. They have Al Horford to come off the bench now or Robert Williams. I do think Al Horford to come off the bench. They have Robert Williams and Kristaps Porzingis for their interior defense. They have their superstar in Jason Tatum. They do need to re-sign Jaylen Brown. While I don't know if it's going to be on the richest contract in NBA history, 5 years, $295 million, that's just insane to me. I do think that they should take Marcus Sasser with the number 25th overall pick. Now, at number 26, the Indiana Pacers. I have them taking, drum roll please, James Najee, the center out of Barcelona. We're working on interior stuff with the Portland Trailblazers, the Indiana Pacers. Listen, as I already said, they have their guards. I don't think they need any more guard depth right now. They just need to work on their interior presence. Now, we already have them going with Jarris Walker at the number 7 overall pick. Let's get somebody to play behind Miles Turner. Now, Walker's a power forward. Najee is a center. Now, listen, almost 19 years old. I don't think he's going to develop to the NBA really quickly, but that's great. No, that's not great. But he can play behind Miles Turner, get some experience from him, learn about some interior presence. Also, can be somewhat of a presence offensively. Now, listen, I don't really know much about him. I do know, though, that he is 7 feet standing in shoes, 251 pounds, and a 7'7" wingspan. I know that could be a presence interior. And once again, a team lacking in rim protection and protecting the glass, this could definitely help with that. Now, at the number 27 overall pick, why do I keep saying Portland Trailblazers? I don't know why. The Charlotte Hornets, at number 27, I have them taking, drum roll please, Derek Whitehead, the small shooting guard / small forward out of Duke. Listen, this could be a steal right here. Derek Whitehead, I hate Duke. We all know I hate Duke. But Derek Whitehead, only coming out as a freshman, 6'7", 222 pounds, averaged 8 points a game last year. I do think that, he could be someone to score offensively, something that the Charlotte Hornets team needs. After I do have them taking Brandon Miller, who averaged 20 points per game last year. They have LaMelo Ball to create plays. Now, if you can bring in someone like a Derek Whitehead, who can have plays made for him by LaMelo Ball, I do think that could elevate him and make him NBA ready quicker than we do think. Now at number 28, the Utah Jazz. I do have them taking, drum roll please, Ben Shepherd, the small forward out of Belmont. Listen, the Utah Jazz, a lot of picks in this draft. But listen, they need some depth here at the small forward position, in my opinion. And why not add to that just a little bit more? I really don't know too much about Ben Shepherd. But, average 18 points a game last year, 5 rebounds, almost 3 assists, shooting 47% from the field. 6'6", 190 pounds, maybe up that weight just a little bit. Get NBA ready here. But I do think that, the Utah Jazz, their guard / forward, small forward depth could be increased here. If he can be, a primary guard, I definitely think that could help. Because once again, Kyle Sexton, in my opinion, not the greatest point guard in the world, so you can play behind him. I like it right there at number 28 to the Utah Jazz, and number 29 to the Indiana Pacers. Drum roll, please. Maxwell Lewis, the small forward out of Pepperdine. I think that's how it is. That's just an interesting college name. So the Indiana Pacers, the Indiana Pacers, they have taken 2 players that will help them with their interior. Why not get some small forward help? We've talked about power forward, we've talked about center, we've talked about guards and all that. Let's get some small forward help here. I do think Maxwell Lewis can definitely help with that. Averaging 17 points per game last year. Could be, I don't know if it'll be a scoring presence for the Indiana Pacers, but can definitely be a good option to get someone the ball if they're not really focusing him on defense. He could be something pretty good on getting the ball here if they do need him. So not really the greatest pick in the world. We're in the later rounds here, but it is someone that could help your depth. I think it's all right. Now at number 30, the Los Angeles Clippers. I have them taking, drum roll please. All right. I don't know if this is Ryan or Rian. I have no clue. Ruppert, though, out of NZ Breakers, the shooting guard / small forward. Now listen, this Clippers team is full of depth. If you could add somebody like this, a young guy that could help, he can just develop. You don't need him to do anything just yet. Have him learn. This Clipper team has a lot of veteran leadership, some young guys on their team. He can really, really learn behind these guys, and I think this could be a good pick. This actually is a steal here at number 30. He should be picked around 5 through 7 picks earlier. But the Clippers, once again, getting, as I always say, they're adding more depth to a team that doesn't need more depth. There we go. So I have them taking Ryan Ruppert. Rion Ruppert? I have absolutely no clue. At number 30. Either way, that's my mock draft. So I'll do it for this video, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe with the post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother the Great Vlogs. Make sure you guys go subscribe to my second channel at Ryan the Cod Great. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok at Ryan the Great RTG. And make sure you guys go follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And as always, Ryan the Great out. Peace.